Following the historic Supreme Court verdict on Tuesday, the Council of Ministers have proposed to call for the Parliament session on 7th of March. Meanwhile, top brass leaders from the Dahal camp have intensified political parleys seeking to strengthen their positions. Premier Oli has been active in taking decisions to strengthen his own place, while the stand of the main opposition Nepali Congress, which can be a game changer, has been awaited. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. Council of Ministers recommends commencement of the Federal Parliament from March 7th, 4 days after Apex Court overturned the dissolution of the lower house. NCP Chairman and Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli replaces Dev Gurung with Vishal Bhattarai as the party's chief whip, as both the factions prepare to form government separately. The capital's Kantipur municipality once again reports of bird flu virus. Over 15,000 chickens terminated to control the virus spread. And a US intelligence report claims Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved a plan to either capture or kill journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The government has recommended to call the parliamentary session from 7th of March. The cabinet meeting held at Prime Minister's official residence in Baluatar yesterday evening decided to submit the recommendation at the President's office. Nepal's constitution requires for the President to call for parliamentary session upon the recommendation of the Council of Ministers. This comes just 4 days after the Supreme Court overturned Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's dissolution of the lower house. The Apex Court had also ordered the government to call the meeting of the reinstated parliament within 13 days' time. Now, the power conflict that has plagued the ruling Nepal Communist Party for some time now has entered into the parliamentary party. Chairman of the ruling party and Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has replaced Dev Gurung with Vishal Bhattarai as the chief whip, while both the dissident factions are doing legworks to form governments separately. Premier Oli called on his close aides to Baluatar while announcing the decision to appoint Bhattarai. With the reinstatement of the House of Representatives, the power struggle within the ruling NCP has turned towards the parliamentary party. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has hinted at contesting against the dissident faction, while the latter has suggested it will garner majority to remove the premier from his post or file a no-confidence motion. The Dahal Nepal faction has been piling pressure on the premier, saying that he had lost his ethical stand. Premier Oli's decision to replace Chief Whip Gurung with Bhattarai has been taken as a move to strengthen his position within the party. At the moment, both the factions have around 90 lawmakers to their support. 15,000 chickens from 3 farms in the capital have been terminated in suspicion of the bird flu virus. Kantipur municipality has reported a bird flu virus for the second time in 2 weeks' time. Prior to this, the same municipality had reported of the virus in ducks and chickens on 11th of February. Around 1,500 chickens were killed then. It may be recalled that Karnali's Surkhet had also twice reported of the virus in the past 1 month. This, health experts have warned, suggests that the virus has been spreading. Sample collection for tests are currently underway in poultry pockets of the nation, Chitwan, Butwal, Nawalparasi, among others. The Poultry Service Department has claimed that up to 100 samples are being collected and tested each day. However, analysts have called Nepal's preventive plans weak, given the virus's spread in neighboring nation India. Nepal government prohibited import of poultry goods since 7th of January. However, the risk has persisted as they are still being smuggled through the border regions. Now, women and children have been increasingly used to smuggle drugs from Tarai's main transit in Nepalganj Rupaidia despite police monitoring. On 16th of February, local police Nepalganj arrested a woman identified as Srijana Thapa from Jamunaha in possession of 2.5 grams brown sugar. According to the police, the resident of Surkhet was a drug abuser herself and was carrying brown sugar in her handbag. She was delivering the drug to her husband, who is currently serving prison time in the district prison in Bardia. Based on police data, 4 women have already been arrested so far this year while smuggling drugs. Police have concluded drug dealers are opting to mobilize women given they are under less suspicion of such activities. Drug dealers have specially been using women from low-income background and drug abusers to smuggle drugs.
हामीले लागु औषधमा चाहिँ 79 वटा मुद्दा दर्ता गरिसकेको अवस्था छ। त्यसमा टोटल 170 जना व्यक्तिहरू पक्राउ परेकोमा 4 जना महिलाहरू सहित 170 जनाको संख्या हो।
Out of the 117 individuals arrested in 79 cases of drug smuggling in the past 9 months, 4 are women. Likewise, the arrestees include 11 Indian nationals. Nepal has reported of smuggling of brown sugar, cannabis, opium, marijuana, among others.
महिलाहरू चाहिँ विशेष गरी यो महिलाहरू प्रयोगकर्ता र कोही चाहिँ कारोबारी समेत देखिएको अवस्था छ।
According to the police, a special monitoring team has been deployed in the border regions to deal with the situation. In our Public Voice segment, we have asked local residents in Palpa and Dhanusha what are the chances of Oli and Dahal group forming a coalition government. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
भोलि यिनीहरूले जनतासँगै काम गर्न पर्छ भन्ने आशयले गर्दाखेरि यिनीहरू मिल्छन्। एउटै घरका दाजुभाइहरू पनि कुनै विषयमा नमिल्न सक्छन्, त्यसपछि त्यो विषय मिल्दाको दिन फेरि उनीहरू एउटै परिवारमा आउन सक्छन्। त्यही भएर यिनीहरू मिल्छन् भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ।
सत्ताकै लागि उनीहरूले संसद विघटन गरेका हुन्, त्यसकारण तत्काल यी दुई ठूला नेताहरू मिलेर नयाँ सरकार बन्ने सम्भावना देखिँदैन।
दुवैमा यति मनमुटाउ छ, यति विकृति पैदा भइसकेछ त धेरै जटिल समस्या छ।
अर्को चुनाव नहुन्जेसम्म यो दुईटा एक नहोला जस्तो अवस्था देखिएको छ।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what's your take on the politics scene in construction of sports stadium? Your options are A, conservative thought, B, abuse of authority, and C, politics is everywhere. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Let's move on to our special segment, Media Watch.
The Supreme Court announced a historic verdict on Tuesday to reinstate the dissolved House of Representatives. The 5-member constitutional bench of the Apex Court scrapped Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's decision taken on 20th of December last year of dissolving the lower house. The constitutional bench of the Supreme Court, comprising Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana and Justices Biswambar Prasad Shrestha, Tej Bahadur Kesi, Sapna Malla Pradhan and Anil Sinha, overturned Prime Minister Oli's move of dissolving the House of Representatives. Terming the recommendation of the Prime Minister and the press statement issued by the President to dissolve the lower house as unconstitutional, the Apex Court ordered to call a House meeting within 13 days from the announcement of the verdict. Soon after the Supreme Court's verdict, Chairman of the Dahal Nepal faction of the Nepal Communist Party, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, termed the Apex Court's decision as bold and correct and said Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli should step down from his post immediately on moral grounds. The Supreme Court's decision to overturn the Premier's move has proved that the Prime Minister had abused his position, undermining the Constitution and giving way to serious questions on his morality. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Oli has indicated that he would not resign immediately despite calls for his resignation. Premier Oli has said that the Supreme Court verdict would have no bearing on the modus operandi of the government. Following the Supreme Court verdict on Tuesday, the Oli faction, as well as the Dahal Nepal faction of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, have intensified political parleys seeking for a new political alliance to lead the government. The main opposition Nepali Congress has been considered as a game changer in the current political scenario, as both the factions of the ruling Nepal Communist Party have offered Nepali Congress leadership of the new government. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress has said that it would adopt a policy of wait and watch until the legitimacy debate of the ruling Nepal Communist Party was settled and the House convened. This is Abhyuday Shrestha for Media Watch and Kantipur News Desk.
That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead. News.